So the final session today is about creating a promotional strategy. If I just talk you through what we're going to do, we're going to look at what is a promotional strategy. We're going to look at the 4 key areas when developing a strategy. We're going to look, and I know we've touched on some of this, but we're going to look at segmenting the market. Okay? We're going to look at targeting the right audience. We're going to look at positioning your business products and services. And we're going to really look at the marketing message that you're going to get across to your potential and existing customers. So, what is a promotional strategy? Promotion is a key element of marketing and is essential to ensure your business reaches the right audience. So when developing a promotional strategy, we need to think about, it's very important, who is the customer? So who is your customer? We need to think about how we can reach the customer, so how are we going to get to them, and what message should we be sending to the customer. So these are the real things that we need to think about. Who's the customer, how are we going to reach them, and what message do we want to be sending to them? So we're going to develop a promotional strategy, and there are 4 key areas to look at when developing one of these. First of all, we've got segmentation. Secondly, we've got targeting. Thirdly, positioning, and then finally, we've got the message. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through those 4 key areas now. Segmentation. So this is about splitting your potential customers into groups. And this is key to improving the success rate of your communications message. So this is really important, and remember we discussed this before, that not everybody will be your customer. Your customers will be targeted, but we can also segment those down into further groups as well. So ladies, with regards to your support, it might be male or female, it might be certain age groups, it might be specific learning needs that you're actually going to start grouping people to, because it may be that actually you've got a number of people that might not be suitable to look after in the same environment. So again, it's really important to do that. If you don't know who you're talking to, it's unlikely you will get much of a response. And this is a really important thing. A lot of people go out there and do lots of marketing, lots of promotion, and I say to them, well, who was your target market? Who was your potential customer? And they can't answer that question. All they can tell me is that they didn't get any response. But if they don't know and they haven't targeted that activity, then really they're not very successful in getting a response back. The more targeted you are, the better response you'll receive. So who are your potential customers? What are the different customer groups you are going to target? So think about, who are your potential customers? What does that customer look like? You know, where do they go? Where do they shop? What do they buy? Where do they spend their spare time? What are their interests? Where could you promote your services that these potential customers would see? That's really important to think about that. You know, with regards to gardening services, not everybody would need gardening services. So let's think about the size of garden that would potentially meet those needs. Then you need to look at the geographical area that you work in and where some of those houses might be dotted around. Okay, so think about that. And then think about the different customer groups that you're going to target. So you might have more than one customer group that you're going to look at. Okay, so you might think, for example, let me have a think with regards to your greeting cards. So you said they'd got a country feel to them, so about the environment, and so it may be that a big target for you might be country fairs. So they might be a good target, because actually it's people that are interested in the countryside and are going to country fairs that might want things that represent their local area and the countryside that they're in. But also a potential customer for you might be, like we said, a company that sells cards and gifts. So it could be a shop. So again, we've got the individuals as a segment, but we've also got the potential shops that we could sell the cards through. So starting to segment those, but again, your marketing and your promotion would be very different to those 2 markets, won't it? So it's thinking about which one you're going to target first. So make sure when you're identifying them that you start to group them off and you actually think, yes, this is a group I'm going to start promoting to because I've got the most contacts in this area, or I've got the most experience in this area, or I know somebody that's already working in that area. Make your life as easy as possible. So make sure, very often I speak to people and they say, well, I'm going to go into this industry. And I'm like, well, what's your experience? This is when it comes back to your CV. It comes back to what your skills and experience looks like and how that links in and is related to your potential customers. Because what you want is you want an easy foot into the door. You don't want to go to a cold market that you've never had any experience before. So make sure you're thinking about that when you're targeting. So researching your market. Now that you've identified your target customer group, it's important to find out more about them and their business behaviour, as we've said. So what media do they access? What are their aspirations? What are their priorities? Sort of how much disposable income do they have and what do they do in their spare time? So why are they justifying buying your products and services? What are their buying habits? Do they have children? How many holidays do they take a year? How much money do they give to charity? How can you help them? Not all of these questions will be relevant to what you offer, but they might be. So it's starting to build a picture of what your customer looks like and what your offering is. To really understand your customer, you need to put yourself in their shoes. That's a really hard thing to do, by the way. To take yourself out of your business and put yourself into your customer's shoes is very difficult because from your point of view, what you're offering is absolutely brilliant and people must buy it. But what you need to do is you need to step out of that and see it from that customer's point of view. That's when getting customer feedback is really key. And actually changing your products and services to meet the needs of your customers. Because if you don't, people aren't going to buy and then you won't have a business. So that's why it's key to do that. So researching your customer. So how are you going to do this? How are you going to find out all about your customer? So there are a number of ways you can find out. You can do questionnaires. You can do desk research. You've got website statistics, especially on social media, so you can start to really look at trends in groups. Within my sector, obviously being business advice, support and training, I'm a member of probably about 20 social media business focus groups across Northamptonshire area, because that is my really good social media network, because then I find out what's going on, there's hints and tips on there, people are sharing different pieces of information, there's potential customers on there, but there's also a potential opportunity for me to learn from those people and to be part of those groups. So find out what's suitable for you. So ladies, there'll be lots of support groups for people, adults with learning difficulties, link into those and other information. There'll be charities, associations, support groups which you should be linking with. Get on their email list. Make sure you're getting regular emails as to what's going on and what's going on in the environment. That's really, really key. Focus groups. So you might want to really get a group of people together and say, okay, what it is I can offer. So for you, it might be getting a group of parents together to say, what are the issues with the current services you offer? How can we be different? How can we add value? Or getting the young people together and saying, what would you like to see? We're here for you. What would you like to be doing on a daily, weekly basis that we can make sure that you're enjoying yourself? And face-to-face interviews. So it might be relevant to hold that face-to-face interview, or it might not be. With regards to your cards, it would be really good to have sort of a group together to look at that. But again, thinking back to when we segmented it, we looked at the male market. So again, thinking about, will they buy? Who buys the cards? So will that be a female or will that be a male? And think about that. It's really, really key. A lot of people see the end user as their customer. Very often, the end user is the consumer. It's the person that's actually receiving and experiencing the service. A lot of the time, the customer is actually the person paying for it. They might be the same person, they might not be the same person. Yeah? So make sure that's really, really important. And in that case, if they're the same person, brilliant, you've got to please one. But in a lot of cases, you've got two people to please. So it's making sure that you're able to do that. So once you have a clear picture of your customer, your consumer, it's time to attract their attention. How are we going to get their attention? We know who they are, we know where they are, we know what they're doing. We want to tell them all about our business. We want to promote our products and services to them. Target marketing activity. So it's making sure that you're communicating to the right segment. And this is when we'll get the best response. So there's lots of methods of marketing to your target audience, and I want to sort of go into these a bit more detail. You've got advertising. When we're advertising, it's really important to make sure it's effective. So good advertising has to really, really attract attention. You've really, really got to attract the attention. It catches the eye, it might catch the ear of a potential customer. You've then got to really get their interest. So you've got their attention, but you need to get their interest. It arouses interest, okay? And that impact of the message that you're trying to get across is really clear. You're then giving them the desire. They're getting the desire that they actually want to purchase. They want to own your product or service. They want to use and they want to work with you. And then you need to give them the action. So what's the action? You need to prompt them to become interested to actually becoming a customer, paying that money over to you. That's really, really important. Okay. So you've got an advertising in lots of different ways. You can do online advertising, you can do magazine advertising, you can do back of the bus advertising, and there's lots of different ways that you can do advertising, but make sure you pick the right adverts for you, the right suitable adverts. Make sure that you use the right colours, the right wording, the right styles. A lot of public sector services are heavily criticised for adverts and advertising because they have to go through lots of protocol to make sure that they're hitting all of the guidelines and legislation with regards to advertising. So again, if you're in a sector which is a quite vulnerable sector, make sure that you're very careful about the adverts and the wording and the style that you choose to promote what you're doing. You've also got your sales promotion. So some of the sales promotion that you're using. So this can be lots of different things, can't it? So it can be things like your stationery that you're going to use. So your leaflets, your flyers, all of those sorts of things that you use to sell, okay? And they're going to attract interest. You've also got, within your sales promotion, you might have free gifts. What other things have you got with regards to, you might have sponsorship in there, all sorts of different things and things that you can do. You might do some radio advertising, television. Think about the sales promotion that you're offering. It might be a brochure. It might be a sales email. We've got that on there. We've got digital marketing. Think about what you're trying to sell, what you're trying to promote. Once again, make sure it's all consistent, that the brand's consistent. You've also got your PR. So you've got your good news stories. The most powerful form of marketing is other people talking about you. And PR is a really good way of doing that. And as they say, there's no such thing as bad PR, potentially, because it will all turn around. I think there is such a thing as bad PR. You don't want it. You want good PR. And with social media now, we see a lot of bad PR, don't we? Because a lot of people are quick to complain. If they've got a problem, they're quick to tell the world about it. You don't very often see, we had an amazing experience, thank you very much. It's normally, the service was awful, please don't shop there again. You know, we're very quick to tell people when things go wrong, but we're not as quick to tell people when things go well. So we need to make sure that we're really good at our PR. A really good thing with regards to that is actually awards. A lot of people get a lot of good PR through awards. There's lots of business awards that you can enter. Very often people say, oh, how did they win the Business of the Year award? Because they spent the time to fill in the application. Because you very often, as a business, have to apply for these yourselves. I know a recruitment company that are very successful because they open themselves up to lots of different customers because they're winning award after award after award. But that's only because they're putting themselves forward. You know, not potentially some customers are, but very often you've got to put yourself forward for these things. You've also got your personal selling, so you're actually going out there, talking to people, telling them about what you're doing. And with regards to really you as a coach, that's so powerful because people are buying you. You know, people aren't going to buy a coaching session online. They're not going to buy it from a sales email. They want to meet you, see that they get on well with you, see that they've got a good rapport, know that they're going to learn something from you, and then they're going to buy from you. So that personal sell is really, really key. Again, with regards to Terry's gardening, with regards to his own garden, again, it's taking a portfolio, it's pictures, but inviting someone round and saying, look, this is what I do, this is my own garden, this is what I can do for you. It's actually having that confidence in your ability. Think about the way you present yourself when you're personally selling. That's very, very important. You have a brand, you have a quality of a service that you're offering, you need to represent that. You need to make sure that you represent it. So, for example, if I was coming to sell you insurance and I was dressed in jeans and trainers, would you buy insurance from me? Probably not. So if I was coming to do your block paving and they came in a suit and tie, would you actually think, oh, is he charging too much money, or is he suitable? It's making sure that you dress for the occasion, you suit the business that you're within. And it's quite interesting, actually, that obviously the gardener, you look like a gardener, which is stereotypical, but it's putting people in those boxes. But it puts people at ease. It makes them feel a bit more relaxed, that actually you fit within the sort of the perceived perception of the industry and the service that you're offering. That's really key. You've also then got your direct marketing, so that is going out there. These are, again, it comes back to your leaflets and your direct marketing material. It's very hard to get customers from that. You have to do lots of different elements of it. Gone are the days when people pick up a leaflet and read it. Very often it gets chucked in the bin, or we have our recycling boxes now, which a lot of direct marketing goes into. You need to be different, you need to be innovative. Think outside that box. Think about changes and shapes of leaflets, of promotion. Something that's useful, something that can be pinned onto a wall and kept. That's what's really, really key, and that's what you need to think. So, for example, Terry, if he had a 12-month garden calendar, which was like blooming all year round, or something like that, which had 12 months of what to plant in month on month on month, on the back of a really cool poster, but for more information and personal support, contact you, I wouldn't throw that away, because that would be a really useful tool for me to keep. So again, you'll give me just enough information to do it, but I might need a bit more support. So it's thinking about that, thinking about, with regards to Chris and his training, it's some hard facts of how often you need to redo and renew your forklift training. So it's all of that on there that actually someone can keep, and it's making sure that they know the legislation. That's really key, because then they'll see it up there and they think, oh yeah, I must give that person a call. Whereas if it's just something standard, they'll throw it away. Then you've got your digital marketing, which is really massive, isn't it? We've got your email marketing, we've all got our online marketing, and I know tomorrow you're going to touch on social media and you're going to look at that, and it's very powerful. What I will say is be in it. You've got to do it. And I know a lot of people say to me, I'm not doing social media, I'm not doing online marketing, I'm staying away from it. Unfortunately, if you don't, someone else might do it for you, and that might not be positive. So make sure that you're at least aware of it and you're keeping an eye out. I knew of an organisation that unfortunately wasn't on social media, but their customers were, busy telling everybody else how not very good they were. And that was having a big impact on their services, but because they weren't aware of it, they weren't involved in it. And they couldn't react to it. So it's a good way of sharing, and good way of sharing information. And encouraging other people to talk about you as well. Like we said, other people will market and sell your businesses a whole lot better than you will yourself. So really what I want you to think about is you can't do all of these things, and all these things aren't relevant to your business. But it comes back to how many customers do you need? Where are your customers? Where are your targets? And what activity are you going to do to attract those customers? And how much budget have you got to do that? And time. Again, think about when we spoke about some of the free marketing and sales and promotion that we can do. It's not free, is it? Because actually you could be out working and earning a certain amount of money whilst you're doing that. So you do need to put a cost to that as well. So media activity. So when deciding which media channel to use, really think about targeted communications can lead to better results. So you can usually expect a response rate of about under 1% for generic mailing. So like we've said, direct mailing, if it's just generic, 1%. However, personal letters to a group of your most loyal customers would lead to an increased rate of return. A little tip now, and everyone's going to do it, but write it in your handwriting. If you get a letter through the letterbox with handwriting on it, you're quite intrigued by it, aren't you? You want to open it. Who's it from? This is quite interesting, because very often now it's printed and it's a standard label, so you know it's junk mail. But actually it's been handwritten to a selection of your customers. Oh, I want to find out more. Another tip that someone once said to me, actually, which I thought was really good, is that they wrote a press release about a business, their business, and what they did was they put a post-it note on it and said, thought you might be interested in this, ! And posted that out. So it was almost like it wasn't coming from the business, but from an existing customer telling somebody else that they might be interested in it. So that was a really clever way of doing that. Just these little things that might take a little bit more time, but actually are probably going to get a better response than maybe some of the mainstream routes that you can do. So when deciding which media to use, consider the reach you are targeting. So when we talk about media, we talk about sort of the media and marketing tools that we're going to use. So how often are you promoting? And this comes back to your marketing, so it's about having a plan, looking back at your finances and saying, right, I'm having this many customers this month, where's my marketing plan? What activity am I going to do to get them? So how often are you promoting, the impact and what you can expect for your budget, but most of all, ensure your target customer will see the message in the first place. That's really key. And very often we don't respond to the first vision of your marketing. It takes 3 to 7 times for someone to be seen before they actually say, right, I'm going to act on that now. That looks good. I've heard a lot about it. I've received something through the door. Someone else recommended me to them. Oh, I think I better give that person a call, or actually find out a bit more, or pop down to see them. So it is a constant drip, drip, drip effect that you need to be doing. Make sure that once a customer sees the message, they know the route to purchase, making it as easy as possible for them to purchase a product or services. How frustrating is it? You visit a website and you can't find a telephone number. How annoying is that? And I'm talking some very, very big companies, and you search for 5-10 minutes for a telephone number and you still can't find it. You give up, don't you? Make sure it's there, it's bold on the front. If it's on a leaflet, it's there. On any advertising, make sure that call to action, either a telephone number or an email address, is quick and easy so someone can jot it down and make a note of it. Making sure that you've got a consistent message. So important. You do not want your customer to get mixed messages. You want that uniformed one message approach. So once you've decided on your promotional routes and have a clear message to promote your customers, make sure that you are consistent. So make sure all your media, your marketing used has the same look and feel, ensuring a consistent message is received by your existing and potential customers. You know, think about the font that you use. Think about your logo. Does that reflect the services that you offer? Think about the colours that you use. Colours are so important. And there's lots of issues with regards to visual impairment and colour and things like that. So read up on it. Read up on the rules about what colours mean and do they represent actually what your business offers. You know, there's obviously the softer colours like your greens and blues that are your calming colours, and then you've got your reds and your oranges that are a bit more fiery. So think about actually what response do you want when someone sees your advert, and think about that. If you make sure that all of it is consistent, so if I saw your van in the car park and you were sat here in a t-shirt and you had a bag with your logo, I would be able to say, oh, I saw your van in the car park because it matched your t-shirt and it matched your bag, or it matched your pen or your mug or whatever you might have had. If it was all different, I wouldn't know it was all one organisation. And again, if you're rebranding, make sure that you do that in a way that all your customers know, or it looks very much like your existing logo, so it's not too different. Think about the next steps you would like your potential customer to take, whether it's visiting a website, as we've said, calling, or identifying your brand in a retail environment. What is their call to action? So really, really think about it. A lot of the time now, if you see a TV advert for a product, it will normally state where the shop it's from is as well, won't it? I don't know if you've seen that recently, but it'll say, buy this and it's available in such and such a stores. So making sure that it's available. Always give that call to action so that your potential customer knows how they can get hold of you. And answer the phone, and remember, be professional, so your answering machine message needs to be professional and needs to reflect your business. Again, making sure you've got that separate telephone number wherever possible. So let's look at positioning then. So it's all about developing an image for your product or service. So we're going to position you in the market. We're going to put you there so your customers can see you. So what is your brand? Think about it. Think about what your brand is. Is it clear and consistent? Have you got your name? Have you got a slogan? Have you got a logo? So have you got a really clear message that you want your customer to receive? Does it promote your unique selling point? So it comes back to your business description. You've said what your business does, and we're looking at it and we're saying, this is your unique selling point, okay? This is what you do, this is what you promote. Your corporate image, is it consistent throughout your business? And again, we've spoken about that, haven't we? Making sure it is consistent. The other thing I will say is if you've got anybody working for you, they need to be consistent as well. They need to reflect your brand as well. So they might need to look smart or dress in an appropriate way, speak in an appropriate way, have the relevant qualifications to make sure that they can portray your image. And then we move finally on to the message. So developing your advertising message. This is when we need to develop the real message that we're going to get to our customer. So it comes back to, we've looked at the 4 elements, haven't we? We've looked at the segmentation. We've looked at our targeting. We've positioned ourselves. So we've looked at where we're positioning our brand, our values, where we see ourselves. And now it's about that final message that we need to get across within our promotional strategy. So it's develop that message. It's about informing, it's about persuading, but also reminding. So again, we need to inform people that we're here. It's about persuading them to buy our products and services, but also reminding people that we are here, both new and existing customers. A lot of people say to me, oh, I haven't heard from that person in a while. Well, pick up the phone, speak to them. If you've put a quote in and say, oh no, they didn't get back to me, what would you do? Just sit on it and not contact them again? Pick them up. Oh, hi, did you receive my quote? Was there everything all right? Can I help you with anything else? You know, was there a problem with it? It might be about cost, it might be about delivery, it might be that they're not interested in anymore, or it might just simply be that they forgot and you're on their to-do list and you've actually done them a favour by phoning up and asking them. Don't be afraid to ask, is what I always say, because what's the worst they can say? Is no. That's the worst that anybody can say. And very often they might well say yes. So think about individual, creative and well-branded advertising generates a brilliant outcome. So I think that's really, really key. You've got to think about it. It's got to be very targeted and it's well-branded and it links to what your organisation represents. You will get a good outcome from that. And again, a message will be successful if it appeals to the target market. So constantly refer back to the customer and make sure that you're meeting their needs. What we need to make sure we're doing is that we're selling a product that they want, not that we think that they want. And that's the key. We need to make sure we're offering something that they need and want, rather than, very often I speak to people and they say, well, I know somebody will want it, it's really good. Well, you might think that, but actually they don't think it. So making sure that at all times you're meeting their needs. So that's where your market research comes in, which you're going to be doing tomorrow, and finding out more about what customers do. So your promotional strategy, whatever you decide to do, strategic thinking behind all your advertising and all your marketing is essentially the same. You really need to get to know your audience, you need to target your audience efficiently, and then position your brand to ensure the benefits to your business. So that's what you need to do.